Geometry Dash icons. In my opinion, they might be one of the most overlooked features in general, and when it comes to updates, they seem to be the least hyped or talked about, except for 2.2, which added way too many. But why is that? Is it because the icons, most of them at least, are actually bad? Icons are the main cosmetic in the game. They show up in leaderboards, and they offer challenges for any player wanting to get them all. This adds an extra layer of stuff to do in Geometry Dash. Just imagine if you couldn't change the default icon, that would just not feel right. I mean, come on, you really think I'm gonna beat Jawbreaker with this thing? Heck no! And that got me thinking, I didn't really think about these too much myself, despite how many hours I've sunken into this game. Hold on guys, they're AFK hours, trust. And suddenly I realized I haven't actually thought about it that much. So in this video, I wanted to talk about everything related to these silly little drawings, including how I feel about the designs for each game mode, some changes I think should be made, and the one problem that keeps icons from being perfect. This video isn't going to be a full-on ranking of each icon in the game. If it was, then this video would take months, believe me. If you do want me to though, or have any video ideas in general exploring all things Geometry Dash, then go ahead and comment in the suggestions box. A new one will be posted after each video, so be sure to act fast. Now, back to the video. I think it's best to go through each of the game modes first. That way I can get my thoughts on the designs, the thing you probably came here for, out of the way first to help with audience retention, fulfilling your needs. The cube is the first game mode you play as, and this is the default icon that goes along with it. It's pretty iconic in its own right, but nothing super remarkable. You would think that the very first icon would be the RobTop one, but no. It's actually the latest cube icon, added in 2.2 to celebrate 10 years. One of my favorites is probably the one I currently use in the game. It's this stupid little spike-faced thing. It's kind of adorable, and I love the red and blue and white glow. I personally call it World because Geometry Dash World and all. Something I think that could be improved is the beginning cubes and the later ones. At the start, they're pretty simple, which reflect the game at the time. But now, some of them are kind of strange to look at, and sometimes are too cluttered for my personal taste. This video is going to be pretty much my entire opinion. I should have stated that earlier, honestly. So anything I say doesn't have to line up with your beliefs, and please don't take anything I say as hard fact. I'm just talking about icons here. As I was saying though, I feel the later ones feel too detailed comparatively to some of the classic cubes. On a positive note, it does show a clear evolution of the game, and the artist and the community brought on to make a lot of the newer icons. Some of my all-time personal favorite cubes come from more recent times. I just feel it's a little jarring, especially with what 2.1 and 2.2 especially gave us. The artwork is so much better, and Rob likes using these gradients a lot more now, which look great. Cubes also have the most options out of any other game mode, so sometimes I forget certain ones. If I had to choose my least favorite cube, it would probably be this one because it's just like, how do you even play with that thing? Same goes for a lot of other icons I'll be put on the screen. Comment down below which cube is your least favorite by the number. And with that, I think I'll move on to the ship. And ship icons are actually pretty interesting because of the difference in proportions as opposed to the cube. The reason why I bring this up is because the designs are built around a more horizontal shape than a square. And for some of the earlier ships, I find it a little inconsistent with the line art thickness. It might just be my eyes, but I don't think that's likely. I would say it's a change in artists, but I don't think that's the case just yet. As for the first ship, it's basically as iconic as the default cube. Just plain and simple. What's weird is the newest ship has shading on the bottom part to match the Geometry Dash Steam art. It doesn't look great either, but it's a nice reference. The ship has some pretty silly icons, like this hand holding you, the banana, Oppenheimer, a saw, a knife, another knife, and this wiggler from Mario looking thing. That's another thing I forgot to bring up, which is all the copyright infringement due to the uncountable amount of references to other things sprinkled in here. Obviously, it's hard not doing it, and coming up with a unique design each time is gotta be hard, but someone's gotta look into this, right? We got fin cubes, so I'm happy. Overall, I think there is no best ship, because the pointier it is, the better. If it's not pointy, it makes it really uncomfortable to play as, either feeling too heavy or too thin, or just so ugly you want to destroy your PC. I would also say the cube has a stronger selection than the ship, not even because it's larger, but let's see what the ball has in store for us. The ball is my favorite game mode, so I'm pretty pumped to see these designs, and thankfully they don't disappoint. There's so much more variation this time around, and I love to see that, given that when you really think about it, there's not much you can do with a circle in a confined space. face. And they look great, well, most of them at least. The one I just showed is a prime example of what I like to call filler thinness, which is when an icon feels so hollowed out that you can tell it was rushed by the artist. Even if the design is still interesting, it's hard not to see it this way. My personal favorites would have to be anything with a spiral or symmetrical design, because it looks cool when the ball is spinning during gameplay. It also kind of hypnotizes me a bit. I haven't mentioned it as much, but the way an icon looks can affect how you play, because if something doesn't feel right, again, back to the hollow balls, then it could screw with your performance. That's why it's healthy to change your icons, even if there are people who say to stick to one because you're stuck with it, especially if you're a creator slash YouTuber. But if you find yourself struggling to see anything, we may have a problem. Well, you have a problem, not me. I'll be chilling in Bora Bora, so good luck with that, I guess. As for my least favorite, I have to go with this one, because it has that same thinning problem I mentioned earlier, and the design is pretty bland, there not being much space to work with, and imagining it spinning just doesn't look too great. Now, as much as I don't like UFO gameplay, as much as the others, I mean, sometimes it can be good, I absolutely love the icon options here. Some of my favorites. Back to the references. We get onto Geometry Dash itself with the Ultraviolence UFO. Plenty of detail, but unlike the Cube, I'm fine with it since the UFO has been around for as long. That way, there's less of a clash between simple and new. One of the main reasons I find the UFO so perfect is because you can basically make the design anything you want, as long as it's short enough that you can have the glass dome over top. And honestly, the designs here don't disappoint not one bit. If I have to pick a least favorite though, it would be this one, because not only is it a bit too simplistic, which is fine, the design and pattern doesn't make up for it. Not terrible, which says something about the UFO's high standards, just not as great as the rest. And of course, this one is my absolute favorite by far. Why? I don't know. It reminds me of the 10th anniversary UFO, but I like the star on here. It's combining a core game mechanic into the design, which helps it fit in more, and there's gradients on the wings. Overall, while the UFO has some amazing and genuinely fantastic icons, I wish I could say the same about the next game mode. I have a bit of an issue with wave icons. Don't get me wrong, I love the wave and get a short dopamine rush anytime it's used, but these icons just don't do it for me, man. Before I get into yapping, let me set the scene. When you're playing as the wave, the one thing you need to make sure is that the icon you choose is as sharp as possible, so that way it's not too distracting from the most input heavy game mode. And while there's still a decent amount here that do have that sharpness, there's the same amount, if not more, that go against that philosophy for players, and make a lot of them unusable. I will admit, some designs are cool, like the hand clicker one, but when you actually use it, you find it uncomfortable and immediately switch back. If somebody doesn't want to use those icons because they feel weird to play so much, then we have a problem. And it sucks too, because there's some great examples of those signature sharp angles, like this Bill Cipher one, which might just be my favorite wave. Any other ones, like the Bullet Bill, again the clicker, or this monster one, are just too wide for my liking. That's honestly all I have to say about the wave. If I went on much longer, I think I'd start repeating myself. So now let's move on to the game mode that I think has some of the top 10 icons in the whole game. Okay, so funny story. When I was writing this, I wrote that last section because I thought I was going to talk about the spider next, but then I realized I had completely forgotten about the robot. I am so sorry, robot fans. I just insulted your kind. Anyways, the same can be said for the robots as I said for the spiders, because these icons are fire. Like, just look at this fire one. It's practically burning my eyes through my screen. Maybe that's because I haven't looked away in 10 hours, but I digress. The robot I want to get the most is this one. I'm currently using the Metal Sonic icon, but this knight just has so much aura and gradients, all my favorite things in one. There are some other fun ones like the Plants vs Zombie one, the dumb looking fire thing that looks like it's high, and the Master Chief. Yes, just straight up Master Chief, and no weight too. It's one of the first icons in the set. We are now reaching the era where the default icons are taking up less and less of the pool in the game modes. That's why we get the Iron Man and this skull thing so quickly. To be honest, when looking at the selection, there's no particular one that I hate or even dislike. I guess this one, since I can't tell you what it is for the life of me. This bird with the always red eyes is pretty awesome. This squirt gun, the pizza one, which is my top favorite robots for me, and the bomb, which are some of my favorites, just to mention. I find myself having less and less to say about these icons. They're just good, even great, and that's it. So let's get on with the spider this time. Actually the spider, not anything else, I swear. Jetpacks are, I'm joking. The spiders have a very similar design to the robots, just slightly rotated forwards, if that makes sense. And because of that, I find myself liking these a lot as well, maybe more. First off, the one I use, and my personal favorite, is the cube inside the spider. I really like the whole series like this, with the cube inside other game modes. It's a fun way to make it connect back to the roots of the game. Similarly to the robots again, there are less default icons, but there are also less spiders than robots, I think. There's another fire icon which I love, even more than that last one. I don't feel like going back and forth and talking about these, so I'll just put up the ones I feel like capture the feeling of greatness. On the screen, now I can talk about actually using these things. When it comes to the spider and even the robot, they have some animations that go along with the design. For example, since both have legs, those move when you play, and you can even unlock and change them. And you may have noticed that all the spiders have legs, so no matter what the design is, it works pretty much every time. It's one of the only game modes where you don't have to worry much about how it looks affecting your gameplay. But if I did have one nitpick, it would be that sometimes they get lazy and reuse certain legs throughout the icons. But it's something I can look past. You know, it doesn't really affect the overall design, so long as it doesn't clash too much. Other than that, spiders are pretty much perfect. While I do overall like the robot selection more, I think the spiders easily have the most unique icons out of all the others, so bonus points and good job to anyone who designed these. I failed to say that for the others, but the same applies there too. Now, let's move on to the final game mode, Swing. And after that, talk about some changes and issues I have with the icons in general. The Swing, by far, has the least amount of icons, so this section will be a little shorter than the others. And I also have a little less to say about the designs because the overall shape is basically the ball with thrusters. I think what makes a good swing icon is if it can make an interesting shape or design within the confined space of the circle, much like the ball. But the designs are allowed to be a little more complex because swings aren't spinning constantly. And now there's only one default icon that I would actually consider to be default, as the rest having something unique or cluttered about them. The OG default swing is pretty iconic to me at this point, and it does a good job of being simple while still being somewhat interesting and standing out. The Synthesizer one is definitely my favorite out of the lot. I just have a special connection with it. There's some other honorable mentions like this crystal one, the TV, the pyramid, the sharp teeth fish. Sus. I also love the zombie one with its tongue out. That one always stood out to me. Can you believe that this was a video that made me want to make Geometry Dash content? My own video? It's like a year old. Anyways, that's all 8 game modes and their icons. So let's move on to the bigger thing I wanted to yap about. The problems I have with icons and why they actually suck. Just so you know, all of this is going to be my opinion, not hard fact. So if you disagree with anything, feel free to share below. The first topic I wanted to delve into was how you unlock these icons, because some of the requirements are actually garbage. For instance, you can use a path of power to get icons and other stuff, but typing in specific words or phrases in the vault suck. I also dislike how you can't know if you'll get one in a demon key chest. It's just like completely random. This makes it a lot harder if you're looking to get them all, or even a specific one that you really want. But that brings up another problem. Mods. Yes. Now you can basically have any icon you want. All you have to do is download the image, and bam, you have it. And the problem with that is it removes any sort of challenge when it comes to collecting, because now there is no challenge. You basically get it for free. Minimal effort required. Something I hope doesn't happen is that the Geometry Dash becomes dystopian, and that you have to pay up with real money and in-game currency. We already have multiple shops, great for buying customization, so that's a good thing. I just hope it don't go around only cheating your way through the sets instead of playing the game and unlocking them yourselves. Changes I'm glad were made is that you can now see the icons you haven't unlocked faintly underneath the lock, and clicking on it gives you a hint on how to get it. Another handy change is probably being able to show any icon, not just the cube, as your main comment or user profile. It adds that extra layer of personalization the game needed before 2.2. Back to some issues, there's not much credit to the community made icon. Like the artists, all of them worked really hard to make all these amazing icon designs, but yet there's still nowhere to see who made them in the Geometry Dash game. I'm sure you can find them elsewhere, but it would be a cool feature to have, just so the artists get the shown credit they deserve, because then we wouldn't have icons like this without them. Another quick feature is the ability to have icon showcases. On your user page, you have all your icons on display, but wouldn't it be cool if you could have like 2 or 3 other sets just to show off what you have? It would be a cool flex and would give players the incentive to get cooler and rarer icons, even if it's just so the other people can see their achievements. Sorry I failed to mention jetpacks. They look pretty cool, but I'm not gonna spend any time talking about them. They're used in platformer mode, so the design could honestly be anything. And with that, I basically talked about everything I wanted to about Geometry Dash icons. So do icons suck? No, obviously. I basically glazed them the entire time, aside from a few interesting ones. But what I realized is there are a few things that could make the structure even cleaner. Let me know if I missed anything in the comments below. This was a quicker one. And be sure to like and subscribe and share with someone you think will enjoy it too. So with that out of the way, there's not much else to say.